Hello and welcome back to Brimwood Farm. Apologies that I have been AWOL for a couple of weeks. It's been slightly manic here. It's been super hot, so a lot of work keeping everything watered. I have an open day at the end of the month, so the barn is an absolute mess, so I'm trying to get the entire farm ready. I've also had the pitter-patter of tiny little piglets. I've been trying to stay on top of the weeds in the market garden, and as you can see, I haven't completely managed it, but it is better than previous years. I've had a really poorly snowy owl for a few days, and as you can probably tell from the title and thumbnail of this video, there's been some sadness on the farm too. So, as you may be able to see, there are only 4 goats. And that's because a couple of weeks ago, we lost a farm and fan favourite, Humbug. Look how shiny. Look at your shiny coat. Venom looks beautiful. Don't you look? You look beautiful. Yes, you do. He's so shiny at the moment because his coat is just lovely. So a couple of weeks ago, I needed to be off the farm 2 days running, Monday and Tuesday. I wasn't off the farm all day. I didn't stay away, so I was here to feed in the morning and I was back in the late afternoon. But it did mean that I couldn't let these guys go on free range because I need to be around when they're out, because otherwise they go and eat things they shouldn't. So I gave them a fresh bale of hay, I did all their water, and I left them shut in. And Humbug decided to take it upon himself to eat every single blade of hay, every single blade of straw, and basically gave himself really bad bloat. And unfortunately, by the time I found him on Wednesday morning, it had progressed so rapidly that, you know, all of the sort of the tricks of the trade, giving them bicarb, massaging their guts, getting them to try and burp and fart stuff out, it was too far gone. I couldn't get the vet here in time. And he died, and it was pretty horrendous actually. I was holding him. He was sort of in pain by this time. He died basically in my arms. It was horrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was proper horrible. And this was a time when I was actually thinking, contemplating, oh, actually, my remaining goats are super healthy at the moment. Maybe I've cracked this. Maybe I will go and get a nanny goat. I'm not going to do that because, again, losing Humbug was horrible to lose him, but also it just sort of cemented that fact that I don't need any more goats. So we have sadly lost our farm favourite of Humbug. We do still have Venom, however, on the left, and we have Curry, and we have Bracken. Are you going to come out, mate? And we also have Ulysses. Here he is. And so it was definitely one of those shoulda, woulda, coulda moments. Like, what could I have done to prevent it? It's probably because they were out free ranging and they were helping themselves to lots of natural forage, and then for 2 days they had just hay. But the other 4 were fine. So you kind of berate yourself for, oh God, why didn't I foresee this? Why didn't I stop it? But sometimes it's just one of those things. And as I say, the other 4 were totally fine. They didn't get bloat, whereas he did. So yeah, it's a difficult one. And then just 2 days later, we lost another farm favourite. That is Susan. It's a hot day, and also all the sheep take to the hedgerow. But they've seen me coming. So now they're all running off. I don't know why. They know who I am. There's no reason for them to dash off. Where are you all going? You're not running off, Cotton, are you? Are you going to follow your flock mates? Oh, there's a couple still in here. I think it's probably a good plan, guys, to stay in the hedge where it's nice and cool. Now, for long-time viewers, you all remember Susan. She was a rescue sheep that I got 18 months ago, or yeah, just under 2 years ago. And she came, well, she was found in a field with some other sheep, and her owner didn't want her. She came to me. Turned out she was heavily pregnant. She hadn't been looked after properly while she was heavily pregnant, and so she was very, very poorly. And she actually almost died. She gave birth to Missy and Lola. She couldn't stand up for a month. It took a lot of rehab to get her better. But I was properly amazed how Susan bounced back. I was going to retire her, but she looked so good last year that I ended up having her covered, and she produced a lovely, lovely Norfolk cross lamb, who is out here somewhere. Don't know where it is. But when I did the sheep count in the evening, oh my gosh, look, there are already haws on this hawthorn. It's crazy how the season goes past so quickly. When I did the sheep count in the evening, she wasn't there. Now that's not completely unusual, because she and her son used to just disappear. So I went looking, and she had gone into the pit, and she had just laid down and died. Too hot, aren't you? That's it. Go back into the shelter. Are you alright, Tracy? But it is warm, my love. You're in the best place. I'm not actually going to come near you, because let's just leave you to relax. Now, I caught up with Susan's previous owner yesterday, in fact, and we worked out she was about 9. So she had good innings. She had 18 months longer with me than I thought she was going to have, because obviously, again, she was so poorly. And it looks like she had just gone off, taken herself off with her lamb, gone to sleep and died, which actually, you know, after the trauma of Humbug, I was very sad that Susan had died. And I still am, because I would have loved to have her as a retirement sheep. But she lived the best life. She had this entire field just to do her own thing, which she did. Lived kind of the most natural life possible. Tracy, look at her. And then just went off and went to sleep, I imagine, and didn't wake up. And the really funny thing is, even though her lamb called for her for several days, Tracy took that lamb under her wing. Now, Tracy does not like lambs. Tracy has had 5 lambs since she moved to my farm. Only a single one has survived, because she's rejected all of them, and they've always been weak, and they've never made it. So for a sheep that didn't want lambs, the fact that she then adopted Susan's little boy onto her, not to drink, but they would always go around as a twosome. They would call to each other. It was like she became Auntie Tracy. So that's quite sweet. So we lost Susan. And then before we go on to more sadness, I'm going to go back to a couple of days ago when something very exciting happened. Well, I think we've finally started. Hyacinth is a couple of days overdue now for her babies, but she's dragged all of her bedding into the corner. This was all spread out in here. She's finally dragged it all into the corner. She hasn't got up now I've come in, which is also unusual. And there is a little bit of goop. Sorry, my love. Are you going to have babies? It's very exciting. It's a warm day, but not like really boiling hot. There's quite a nice breeze. And I was super productive this morning. So I'm just going to sit on my phone. I've got myself a little chair. I'm going to sit in the corner of the pig ark and watch the arrival of new pigs to the farm. Hello, my lovely. Here's my chair. Let's enjoy the show. Oh, there's a trotter! Oh my gosh, I've never seen that before. You see it in lambs and goats all the time, but normally with a pig it just pops straight out. So that's funny to see that. So very helpfully she's turned around so I can't see anything. But she's just had her first little baby. Oh, that's so exciting. And you can see now that process of her giving birth has really brought her milking, because I've never seen this. There's so much milk dripping out, and it makes me think, along with her size and along with the fact that I was stroking her earlier and could feel babies inside her, again I've never been able to do, that this litter might be quite large. So Hyacinth had 3, and I popped out to Co-op, been gone about 20 minutes maybe, and the third one literally had just been born. I think the third one might have been blocking the exit route because there are 11 now, and this one just came out. What the hell? She literally must have fired them all out one after the other. There's so many. Hello, welcome newest. And all 12 of them are still doing fantastically, and actually they're starting to now come out the pig arc, which is, they're just so cute. And there's going to be more because Daisy, Violet and Rose have also been covered by Richard. So it actually means we're going to have 3 more sets of piglets. They've been in here and you can see they've absolutely annihilated this, so they need to come out of here ASAP, but I wanted to keep them in a smaller space with Richard until they were covered. But that takes us on to, where is Margaret? So again, for long-term viewers of the channel, you'll remember that Margaret was my sow that had really difficult farrowing last year, was it last year? The beginning of last year, so 2023. It was her first litter, and it didn't go as planned because she was poorly just before, and so it meant her energy was sapped. We had to get the vet, and it was a bit of a nightmare, and she has never been quite right since. I found it really difficult to keep weight on her. She's always had one thing or another thing, so she would have a limp and we'd correct it, and then she'd drop a load of weight, and then I'd manage to rebuild her weight, and then she'd get an eye infection. So her immune system was just not working properly. Over the winter, she managed to get in with Richard. She got pregnant, which was really not what I wanted because I was still trying to rebuild her weight. She lost that litter, which I was very thankful for, because she started to put all her reserves into that litter and then lose it all again herself. So she lost the litter, and I finally thought, right, this is great. We're going to get her back on track. But over the past 6 months, I've been working with a vet to try and get her back on track, and she just wasn't. She got a jaw abscess, which we couldn't seem to get rid of. She got some lameness in her feet, and we couldn't get rid of that. And again, I could not keep the weight on her. So though she was happy in herself, she was eating, she was wallowing, she was wandering around, she had a lovely straw bed that she would love to sort of forage around and get in amongst. So I can't say she necessarily had a bad life, but she was living with some pain, and I couldn't get her better. And so I did make the decision to have her put to sleep. And it was a really hard decision because I like to give my animals the best. You saw from Susan how I nursed her back to health. You've seen from Horace how I wouldn't give up on Horace. So it was hard. I just didn't want to give up on Margaret. She was my original sow. And as I say, if she had been poorly, if she wouldn't get up and come out of the ark, if she wouldn't eat, if the signs were there saying it's game over, then yes, of course. But she wasn't showing me those signs. But it wasn't fair to her to keep trying for so long. I'll try, 2 or 3 months, but we've been trying full on for 6 months with lots of medicine and lots of veterinary treatment. And again, it also falls down to costs. I'm a farm. She's a pig. She not only is costing me vet fees and medicine and food, which she's not putting on, she's not producing piglets. So my farmer sensibilities came in a little bit, and I knew that Hyacinth was about to farrow and have a new litter. So yes, I had to say goodbye to Margaret, sadly. But then literally 3 days later, piglets arrived. So the circle of life. And I must also go and take you to see Oz, the snowy owl, because I obviously showed you at the beginning of the video that she had been poorly, and I actually think she was injured. She's going through a mega molt at the moment. So to start with, I thought maybe she's just got pin feathers coming through, and they're full of blood, of course, and they're just weighing the eyelid down. But she didn't eat her dinner, and that concerned me, because if birds of prey don't eat regularly, they can go down the hill pretty quickly. So I grabbed her and I managed just to hold her eye open, and she had the tiniest of little bruises right on the eyelid. So I reckon she was maybe flying around, caught it on something. The good thing is, you look fine now, don't you? Big yawn. I mean, you look raggedy, because if you see the top of her head, she has many, many, many feathers missing. All 3 of my owls are going through the most extraordinary molt this year. I've never seen them. I mean, I cleared this aviary yesterday, and she's already got loads of, beautiful feathers, beauties. But both she and Horatio and Yassine, the barn owl, they all look slightly porcupiney. But my main thing is, I'm happy she's got the eye open again. She ate all of her chicks last night, so her appetite's back. I've been refreshing her water, spraying it down, because of course she's a snowy. She's not from a hot climate. So spraying down all of the gravel in her aviary to keep her cool. And of course we're lucky, because we built these aviaries right under all these dappled trees, so actually it does stay rather cool. Much cooler than out in the field where the sheep and the pigs are, for example. So I'm happy that that's had a happy resolution. So there you have it. It's been not only a very busy couple of weeks, but quite an emotional roller coaster couple of weeks as well on the farm. And I'm sad to have lost those 3, because those were originals. They were OGs. They were, well, actually Susan wasn't, but she was going to get to stay and retire. And I suppose in a way she did. But I had hoped I'd have had them around a lot longer. But, this is life and death. And now I'm going to carry on clearing the barn, because it's an absolute mess. So my plan is, for my open day, I'm going to rectify these 3 pens to have a variety of sheep in for people to see. But I've got to do a lot of cleaning, because not only do I need to sort out mess, because the barn has become a bit of a junkyard, so I need to move my junk to a new hidden place on the farm for a new junkyard, because everybody knows somewhere on your property there is always the junk bit. And then I need to dig all of this back out. I mean, it's not deep. It shouldn't take too long. And then I've got to jet wash everything as well. So busy.